You are listening to episode 31 of the Simple Farmhouse Life podcast. Today, I'm doing something a little bit different. I thought about this actually yesterday morning. I thought, why don't I document this day, this random day in quarantine, which is pretty much just a regular day for us, and do a podcast about that, because I've done a hypothetical what my days usually look like kind of day in the life podcast, but this one is going to be an actual, I recorded everything that we did. Now, before I start this, we did not actually have a lot of the things on this list planned. I have a loose plan with every day in the beginning of the week. I usually make a list in my notes app that says Monday, and then I put a little dash after it, and then list out the things that I need to accomplish. And then I do that for each day of the week through Friday. So I did have a few things on the list that I needed to get done for work, like reshoot a video, which I'll talk about, that ended up getting messed up because of my microphone, and a few other things. But the rest of the day is very much open and loose, and there is a flow to our days, but never an exact detailed, we do this from 9 to 9:15 type of thing, except for homeschool is 8 to 10. But I'll get into all that. So this day wasn't all planned out. In fact, there was a fun surprise at the end of the day that Luke told me about at nap time that I actually had no clue that we were going to be doing. All right, so let's dive into it. My name is Lisa, mom of 6 and creator of the blog and YouTube channel Farmhouse on Boone. Join me as I share with you my love for creating a handmade home from scratch cooking and a little mom and entrepreneur life along the way. To start the day, Micah got into our bed at some point in the middle of the night. I never really know what it is, but I'm sure it was after midnight, so it would have been part of the day. He came in on Luke's side. That's typically what he does at this point, because I have Daniel on my side, and I try to put myself and Luke in between the two babies. He's been, for a while now, getting out of his crib, and that's been, of course, quite frustrating for us. But at the same time, there's not a whole lot that we can do about it at this point. We need to move him into the boys' room, and so that he's not in his crib anymore. But he comes into our bed. We put a little barricade in front of his door so that he doesn't go downstairs. I've looked into a few devices that will help to alert us if he does get out of his bed. So we will do something like that. But for the meantime, I just put up something that will make a noise if he goes past it. But he normally just comes to our room. Around 5:30, Micah woke up and Luke went downstairs with him. That's typically what we do because I have the baby, so I really can't leave the bed until he's awake because he could roll off. Around 6, Daniel woke up and we laid there for a while, and I finally rolled out of bed around 6:30. I think it was closer to 6:20, but either way. I get asked a lot about my morning routine, and that kind of thing is different based on if you have a baby or if you are free to move about in whatever way you choose. So whenever you have a newborn up to, in my experience, at least 6 months, there's always a baby with you. And so it doesn't really make sense to get out of bed early and put on makeup and go do your work, because you would have to bring the baby with you to all of that. And so to me, the biggest goal is just to lay in bed as long as I possibly can, or as long as the child will let me. And I've been stuck in that spot for the last 11 years because I've been having children for that whole time. So I'm still not one of those people that gets out of bed and has a morning routine, because my life is always dictated by small people. And I know some moms say that they get out of bed and they do things before their kids wake up. But when you have a baby or even a toddler, does that time even exist? I don't know how that time exists for other people, because it has never existed for me. If I were to get up at 5, I would just wake up kids and bring them down with me, because we've always had early risers. I've never had the kind of kids that sleep till 8 o'clock ever. Now, my oldest at this point, she does sleep a little bit later, but that's because she's older. She's like 11 years old. And so, she's getting closer to being a teenager. So maybe whenever I am past this phase of my life and all of my kids are 2 and above, or maybe even like 3 and above, I will do a morning routine. It actually sounds pretty cool to set your alarm clock, get up, maybe have some time alone to read, make breakfast before the kids wake up. But anyways, that is not my reality. I got out of bed around 6:30. Of course, Daniel comes downstairs with me, and we sat at the table and drank coffee. Now, I should mention, I do have one ritual that I've been doing now for probably about 2 or 3, maybe even longer years. I drink a full quart of water. I go over to the Berkey and I get a quart of water in a quart mason jar and drink it down. And I have to do that before I do my coffee. Now, I don't really feel thirsty in the morning, but it is the only time that I make an effort to actually drink water. So I feel like that helps me to stay hydrated, because even if things get really busy and there isn't any time to drink water throughout the day, I've at least hydrated fully in the morning. And typically I'll do the same thing before bed, only I drink my magnesium in my water then. So I have those 2 times, and throughout the day I will get water, but I'm just not the best about it. And I find that that's one way that I at least get a full quart of water in. So I drink a full quart of water, and then Luke and I sit down and have our coffee. And we really should do that quickly, because there's kids running around everywhere. Usually messes are happening. People are asking us for breakfast. Nothing productive is happening, but still, that is just what we do. We sit there for probably close to a half an hour and just drink coffee, talk about what we're going to do on this day. I usually will go over my notes app and talk to Luke about what is on my agenda and when I'm going to need time to get work stuff done. We talk about what projects we're going to do around the house, what our expectations are of each other, and what we need to get done. And then also we look at the weather, because that usually dictates a lot. Like, okay, am I going to go out in the morning while you do homeschool? After that, you could take the kids outside. Danny, are you going to just be loud this whole time? Yes, you are. Usually we reluctantly get up 30 minutes in and I have to start making breakfast. This particular day, yesterday, we had some leftover food in the refrigerator from Sunday, because we were home all day on Sunday because of the quarantines and everything. We're usually not home on Sundays. And we don't work on Sundays. So I made a lot of food. I made 2 chicken pot pies. I made a bunch of oatmeal, a lot of food. So this day mostly involves a lot of reheating, which was really great. So Luke pulled out of the fridge, we had some leftover oatmeal, and he heated that up. And then all the kids came in. The girls typically will take their breakfast upstairs, and they'll go up there and start their homeschool time. That way we can get a head start on that, because that lasts about 2 hours. So that's what we did. The boys sat at the table and ate their oatmeal, and the girls went upstairs with Luke and ate their oatmeal while they started doing their reading and their writing and all of their school stuff. We also had some leftover quiche that Luke and I heated up, because he doesn't get full on oatmeal. He has to have something with more protein. So he heated up quiche, the girls had oatmeal. The next thing I have in my notes is I put Daniel on my back. A friend of mine who I actually met via the internet, via my YouTube channel, sent me she called it a soft structured carrier to try. It is a Kinder pack, and the purpose of it is you can carry the baby on your back, and it's really easy to get on and off. So I have been trying that out, and I really like it for whenever Daniel is awake, but I need to get stuff done. I can put him in my regular woven wrap or my knit wrap, but then he's facing in and he doesn't like to be awake as much. I find that when he's awake, he really likes being on my back. And so that's what I'll do. I put the backpack on and then I just go about my chores in the morning. He eventually at some point falls asleep and I switch him to the front. So I'm checking my notes from yesterday, but that's exactly what happened. I cleaned up the kitchen, got the 3 boys dressed, and got the boys outside, all with Daniel on my back. And then he fell asleep and I switched it to the front, which I just take it and kind of pull it around to the front, all without waking him up. I have to unstrap the top and then restrap it, but it does work out. And then he stayed asleep in that wrap the whole time we were outside, probably at least an hour and a half in the front carrier. So one of the things that happened yesterday while we were outside, Eli suggested that we plant the candy garden. This is something my kids do every single year. I didn't even make the idea up. They made it up. Actually, I think my oldest daughter, probably 5 years ago or 6 years ago, it was a long time ago when she was really little, she saw it on a commercial. There was some idea where the kids planted candy, and then on Easter morning, there sprouted out a bunch of Easter treats. And they've been doing that ever since. So he said, Mom, we need to plant our Easter garden because, Easter's coming up this weekend. So I went in the house. I was going to give him some coffee beans because I don't have any jelly beans or anything like that. But then I didn't really want to give up our coffee. So I gave him a bunch of white navy beans. And that kept him busy for a good long while. He planted them almost like a garden. He used his shovel and he used popsicle sticks to do markers. And he told me what he wanted in each row. And I don't really know if I'm going to put those exact things in each row, but it was fun anyway, and it lasted for a good hour of his time. Meanwhile, I was just following Micah around. That's typically what I do. The older boys will do something. They don't need as close of supervision. Micah, I pretty much have to follow around, because if I turn my back for even 30 seconds, he's missing. He's either gone over to the barn, he's gone in the garage. There's a lot of places to hide on our property, and I cannot stand when I can't see the toddler. So I just followed him around wherever he went. I just tagged behind. I spent this time also posting my daily post to Instagram. Now, I'm not always the best about posting every single day to Instagram, but it is a good time in that morning slot while Luke's doing homeschool for me to post Instagram, respond to comments, respond to messages. It's an easy time to do it because all of the boys are really content, especially when we're outside. Now, if we're inside, if it's cold or rainy, they need a lot more of my undivided attention. But outside, they usually get some kind of game or activity going. So after the candy garden, Eli somehow got it in his head that they were going into outer space. They got up on their playground and they were off into outer space, and I was some kind of alien queen, so I would chase them around a little bit. Basically, we just played, and it was a good 2 hours of outside fun. At 10 a.m., Luke took over with all of the kids other than Dan. Usually Daniel's with me. Every once in a while, Luke will take Daniel too, and he will take them. It's more difficult for him to do anything outside with the kids and Daniel, which I understand. It's hard to do just about anything with Daniel, like a podcast, for example. And that's when I went in and I did my hair and my makeup. Now, a lot of days I don't do my hair and my makeup at all. Actually, I would say 5 out of 7 days at least I don't do hair and makeup, but I actually had to make a video because today, which is Tuesday, I'm recounting to you yesterday, I have a video due that is a collaboration with some of my YouTube friends, and I shot it last Friday. I mailed the hard drive to my video editor and told her, this is due Tuesday, so it's a rush turnaround. Well, she opened the file and found out that my microphone messed up and it was knocking and buzzing the entire time, like totally not salvageable. You couldn't even hear my voice. That's how bad it was. And so I had to remake the video, and it had to happen yesterday because the video was due today and I would have to edit it. So anyways, it was not planned to be a shoot day, as we like to call them. I don't usually do those on Monday. Usually Monday is more getting everything back from the weekend. So getting all of the laundry done, the house clean, getting some food prepped, getting my posts all scheduled, my videos uploaded, scheduling out emails, just getting everything scheduled and ready for the week, planning out what I need to do for the week, all that kind of stuff. Usually not a shoot day, but it was an emergency shoot day. So after I did my hair, my makeup, I set up all of my lights and I recorded the video that I did with my friends, the collaboration video. And then while it was up, I also shot another video because it was already all set up and I had another one planned that I want to do later this week. And once you have the microphone, the lights, the tripod, everything all out, everything ready to go, it makes sense to try to shoot more than one video. I recorded both of those with Daniel in the ring sling. At this point, he was ready for another nap because he'd been awake for a little bit of the outside time. He was awake all the while that I was putting my hair and makeup on, and then he fell asleep while I was shooting my first video. Which, by the way, I had a company send me a ring sling, and I've been trying it out because this is how this goes. Ever since I started making videos on baby wearing, I've always used the same knit wraps. But ever since people started seeing that, I've had different companies approach me. I had a friend approach me, and I've been trying out a whole bunch of different wraps because of that. It's kind of fun because I've never really tried a ring sling. And I will say about that, it's really beautiful. I feel like it's the most attractive wrap that I've worn. It has a beautiful fabric. I feel like the rings are actually really pretty, and it's pretty the way the baby's sitting. I really like that aspect of it. It's also easy to use. I got Daniel in there without even watching a tutorial. It's just very easy to get him very secure and cozy. He fell asleep right away. I do have one negative thing to say about it though. My shoulder that all of the weight was supported on hurt so bad because with the ring sling, all of their weight is supported on one shoulder. And so I did not like that aspect of it. I would say after those 2 videos, after he took a 2-hour nap in it, my shoulder hurt so bad and I just wanted my woven wrap back. But I would say for more short term, or if you are going on a play date or something like that, I really like it. I'll definitely use it because it's so pretty. But for the long term, like if you have a 6-month-old baby, or in my case, 5.5-month-old baby, taking a 2-hour nap, it's not the way to go. All right. After that, after I recorded my 2 videos, put all the footage on the hard drive like I needed to, take my lights down, put everything away. I got the kitchen all set up for lunch, set the table, and I slipped the leftover chicken pot pie in the oven from yesterday, because every time I make a chicken pot pie, I always make 2. I have 2 cast iron skillets. Actually, I have 3, so I could make 3 of them, but usually after you eat it 2 days in a row, you're kind of sick of it. But it never makes sense to me to make 1, because I already am getting all of the biscuit stuff out. I'm already getting out the carrots, the onions. I already have broth going. A whole chicken. You don't need a whole chicken to make chicken pot pie. You could easily make 2 pot pies with 1 chicken and still have some chicken left over. So it always makes sense to make 2. So that made for a really, really easy lunch. I just put it away from the day before in the cast iron skillet, and then I put it back in the oven straight away. So I didn't have to use any dishes. I just made 2 cast iron skillets full. We ate 1, and then the next got reheated on yesterday for lunch. After lunch, we did nap time. So I put Micah down for a nap. He fell asleep because he always does. He takes a good nap. And the other kids just go in the room and they read books. That's what they're doing right now too while I'm recording this podcast. They are in their room reading books. And during that time, I edited the kitchen collaboration video that I was telling you about, because I had to have it ready for today, which means I had to do all of the shooting and editing in one day. And so that's what I spent the entire nap time doing. After that, I did some laundry, and then I went to the post office to mail some kefir grains. Now, I didn't have to go in because I have a shipping software, which I find handy over and over again. So someone from church wanted some kefir grains, and instead of driving them out to her house, I just decided to ship those to her. After that, nap was over, and we went outside with the kids, and Luke and I discussed a barn project. So the kids, usually when we're outside, it's pretty nice because this property allows them to run around and play, and we just have to keep an eye on everybody, but you don't have to watch them super close. Like in our last house, we lived right on a state highway. The house was set back, maybe I'm really bad at estimating, but I want to say anywhere from 20 to 50 feet from this really busy road. And then next door to our house was a public park. And so there was always strangers around, and you had to keep a little bit of a closer eye on all the kids. At this place, they all will be riding their bikes around. They'll be on the trampoline, on the playground, and we can see all of that from the barn. We actually started this project today, Tuesday. Yesterday, we were discussing it, and that is to rebuild the whole side wall of the barn. It is a late 1800s barn. We don't know the exact year. Really beautiful, in great condition, but the whole side wall just looks really sad. All of the boards are rotting at the bottom. It's sagging in some areas, and it just needs improvement. When you look out my kitchen window out to the barn, that should be really beautiful. You can just tell that it's in disrepair. So my goal has been to make that view really pretty, which involves tearing out 2 trees that are next to the barn so that I can plant some flowers, and repairing and rebuilding that side wall. So we've done some demo on that today, and I'm vlogging that. But we went out to discuss how the project would go, what we needed for it, and what all we needed to do. Now, while we were outside, Luke got out a really big tarp and he put it over the trampoline, and he said that he was going to camp out with the kids since the overnight low last night was 63. So it was gonna be the perfect camp night. And then I decided that it'd be really fun, since we were gonna be doing a special camp out night, to order pizzas. But whenever I looked up the pizza place in town, they closed their doors because of the virus going around. And so I decided that instead it'd be fun to roast hot dogs. So I went to the store in town. There's a better grocery store about 7 miles away, but there's also a small grocery store just in our little town of less than 2,000 people, probably more than 1,000. And I picked up hot dogs and marshmallows, and we did a camp out roast deal. So we had the hot dogs. Then I came in and gave Micah a bath, read him books, and put him to bed while Luke went outside with all of the older kids. They slept on the trampoline. That's what they did. I thought about going out and bringing in the 4-year-old, but I ended up leaving them all out there, and I just slept inside with the baby and Micah, and they slept outside. So that was our day. I did after Micah went to bed and after the kids were outside on the trampoline. I cleaned up the kitchen a little bit, and then I also spent about an hour at my computer answering emails. That's something that I get behind on really quickly if I'm not careful. I have to spend about an hour every 3 or 4 days going through my email inbox. But I did that. And then I watched like one show on Netflix and passed out. So that was my day. And now for my random question from Instagram. Okay, I'll take this one. I'm not really sure how I'm going to answer it, but do you feel like you can enjoy life and your children enough while working? Here's the thing about working and having kids. It's hard. Daniel, you're making this so apparent. But also, work is part of life. Everyone has to work. Even if you aren't working for an income, you have to take care of your household. You have to cook. There is always work, and work is good, and God designed work. I think the problem that can happen is if you don't set some boundaries on your work time and don't take intentional time to spend time with family where you aren't thinking about work at all. That's something that I find that I have to do. I have to delegate out tasks to other people on my team. I have to have help, because if I were to do everything, I think it would burn me out and I wouldn't be able to also enjoy my family. I talked more about this in, I believe it was episode 26 and episode 20. Talked about it in both of those. But another thing is I don't like the idea that moms have to feel guilty for doing work. I feel like this happens even with housework. I always see all these memes going around Facebook, and these have always sort of bothered me, that say something like the laundry can wait, the dishes can wait, babies don't keep. Okay, I agree. I love babies. I literally hold Daniel all day, every day. But not doing my stuff, not getting my laundry done, not doing the dishes, that doesn't work because they don't go away. It really can't wait, because if I don't do that today, then tomorrow it will be there times 2. The problem won't go away. And so I really never understood this guilt that goes with getting things done as a mom. I think that some people definitely are more easily bored. I know I'm that way. I like having extra stuff to do, and some people don't, and that's fine too. But anyways, all that to say that it's important to set boundaries. It's important to spend time doing the important things. That's why I became an entrepreneur. I wanted more time with my family all together, and the way to do that was to set up my own business. But more than anything else, something I've learned at this stage of motherhood is to drop the guilt about working. I totally used to feel it, even with just housework, that I needed to be less busy. But yet, whenever I did that, I found that the whole house would just crumble around me if I didn't constantly clean it, constantly cook, constantly do the dishes and the laundry. And that's just how it is, and it's okay. And I'm just not going to feel bad about that. So all that to say, yes, I'm able to enjoy my family and do work and see all of it as a good thing. There are definitely days where I don't find that balance and I don't see all of that. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Simple Farmhouse Life podcast. If you have not yet grabbed my sourdough ebook, there's been an amazing response to it. I know thousands of you have grabbed it, but if you have not yet, it is free. You can get that at bit.ly. That's bit.ly/farmhouse sourdough. And I will see you in episode 32 of the Simple Farmhouse Life podcast.